is the most powerful Jedi? This topic is hotter than the twin suns of Tatooine. Get ready, it's about to get interesting. Yoda is often the first who comes to mind. As Grand Master, he didn't just master the Force, he practically merged with it. He lived around 900 years, trained multiple generations of Jedi, and absorbed ancient lore that few others even knew existed. We see him out-duel Count Dooku and battle Darth Sidious. In those showdowns, he's agile and cunning, leaping around with a speed no one expects from someone so old and so small. He holds his own. True, he loses that direct contest with Sidious in Revenge of the Sith, if you consider failing to kill your enemy a loss. But let's not forget all that Yoda accomplishes. In exile on Dagobah, he's communing so deeply with the Force that he learns how to preserve his consciousness after death, a secret only a select few discover in canon. And decades later, he teaches Luke Skywalker, guiding him to become the new hope for the galaxy. So if you count infinite wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual mastery as part of being the most powerful, Yoda sets a high bar. Mace Windu. But Mace Windu also belongs in that conversation. He was respected and sometimes feared for his unique lightsaber combat style, Vaapad, a form so aggressive and risky that it walked the knife's edge of darkness. But Mace had the discipline and moral clarity to handle it. We see how formidable he is when he confronts Palpatine, nearly winning that duel until Anakin intervenes. There's a canon argument that Mace actually overpowers Sidious, forcing the Sith Lord to get crafty rather than relying on sheer strength. Combine that with his Shatterpoint ability, where he senses a crucial weakness in an opponent, and you have a Jedi capable of toppling almost any foe in a fair fight. The only reason Mace doesn't fulfill the grand destiny of saving the Jedi is because Palpatine manipulates Anakin's fear and loyalty, robbing Windu of his final victory at the last second. Anakin Skywalker. Then there's the Chosen One himself, Anakin Skywalker. He has the highest potential for Force power recorded, conceived by the midi-chlorians, bursting with raw talent from childhood. As a Jedi, Anakin is a prodigy. We see him in the Clone Wars taking out entire droid armies and defeating powerful adversaries like Asajj Ventress. In Episode 2, he's humbled by Dooku. By Episode 3, he actually overcomes Dooku in direct combat. The learning curve is incredible, and if he'd remained on the light side, some believe he might have surpassed everyone, including Yoda. But we know what happened. Seduced by the dark side, he lost most of his limbs on Mustafar and had to start over as Darth Vader, a shell of the unstoppable Force entity he might have been otherwise. Yet if we're just talking about his potential, it's hard to top Anakin. The tragedy is that he never fully realizes it as a Jedi. He does fulfill the prophecy by killing the Emperor, thanks to Luke's influence, but as Vader returning to the light for one final redemptive act. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's not skip Obi-Wan Kenobi. People often underrate him, but this guy is a model of Jedi consistency and skill. He's a master of the Sorsu lightsaber form, which emphasizes defense to the point of near invulnerability, and that makes him lethal over the long haul because he can wear down nearly anyone. He beat Darth Maul several times, someone many Jedi feared, and ultimately carved Maul in half the first time they dueled. He bested General Grievous, a Jedi killer who trained under Dooku. Most famously, Obi-Wan out-dueled Anakin on Mustafar, even though Anakin was technically stronger. Kenobi's calm discipline trumped Anakin's rage. There's a reason the clones nicknamed him the Negotiator during the Clone Wars. He was the ultimate blend of strategic thinking, moral clarity, and Jedi skill. By the time of A New Hope, he'd learned the secret of living on through the Force after death, guiding Luke long after the Empire believed him gone. If power includes loyalty to the light, skill in survival, and passing on wisdom, Obi-Wan is no slouch. Qui-Gon Jinn now. Let's talk about Qui-Gon Jinn, a Jedi whose impact on the saga runs deeper than some may realize. While he died earlier than many of his peers, Qui-Gon was a visionary who walked a path distinct from the more rigid Jedi Council. He focused on the living Force, staying attuned to the present moment and the will of the Force as it spoke to him in real time. This intuitive approach sometimes clashed with the Council's preference for long-term strategy, but it also allowed Qui-Gon to uncover secrets no other Jedi had touched in generations. First, he identified Anakin as the chosen one, trusting his instincts when everyone else was skeptical. On top of that, Qui-Gon's pursuit of deeper truths led him to the ancient knowledge of Force immortality, something that neither the Council nor even Yoda had fully grasped. By communing with mysterious Force priestesses, Qui-Gon learned to retain his consciousness after death, creating a path that he would later pass on to both Yoda and Obi-Wan. Those teachings reshaped the entire Jedi legacy, because if a Jedi could guide future generations even after physical death, it meant the light side had ways of enduring that no Sith could easily match. Though he wasn't the galaxy's greatest duelist, Qui-Gon's emphasis on compassion, intuition, and spiritual growth broadened the Jedi worldview. He might not be the most powerful in a straightforward sense, but he changed how the Jedi understood the Force, elevating him to a unique status that goes beyond mere combat skill. Luke Skywalker. But perhaps the biggest question mark is Luke Skywalker. After all, he's the son of Anakin, inheriting that rare Force lineage. In the original trilogy, we watch him go from farm boy to Jedi Knight in just a few years. By Return of the Jedi, he fights Darth Vader to a standstill, and crucially, he chooses mercy over violence, throwing away his lightsaber and refusing to be Emperor Palpatine's puppet. That moment is one of the greatest demonstrations of Jedi strength. Not raw power, but the power to resist temptation. And by doing that, he helps spark Vader's return to the light, which leads to the destruction of the Sith. Canon shows that after the fall of the Empire, Luke devotes himself to rediscovering ancient Jedi lore. We catch glimpses of that journey in the Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian, where he trains Grogu and shows lightsaber and Force abilities at a level that leaves no doubt he's become a true master. The last official piece of Luke's timeline we see is in The Last Jedi, where an older, disillusioned Luke eventually unleashes one of the most extraordinary Force feats in the saga by projecting himself across the galaxy. This buys the Resistance time to escape and reignites hope in the galaxy. While that act costs him his mortal life, it cements that Luke has tapped a power that few, if any, Jedi have displayed in that particular way on screen. In a sense, that might be the apex of Jedi power, saving lives, inspiring the masses, and departing in a state of serene oneness with the Force. Ahsoka Tano deserves a closer look too. Originally the headstrong Padawan of Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars, she learned resilience and cunning from facing opponents like Asajj Ventress and even General Grievous. Wrongly accused of treason, Ahsoka left the Jedi Order but never abandoned the light. Free from the Council's oversight, she embraced her own moral code, working as the hidden rebel operative Fulcrum. She survived Order 66 and later crossed paths with Vader in Star Wars Rebels, confronting her old master in a duel that pushed her to her limits. Though no longer identifying as a Jedi, her unwavering sense of justice and devotion to helping others embody the Jedi spirit. Fans have watched her grow from an impulsive apprentice into a wise, formidable Force user who stands toe-to-toe with dark side threats. By the time we see her in The Mandalorian, she's become a nomadic guardian of the innocent, still wielding her trademark dual lightsabers. Ahsoka's journey, from being mentored by Anakin to forging her own path, highlights that power can also mean independence, compassion, and a willingness to learn from the past without being defined by it. Rey now. That brings us to the sequel trilogy, and Rey, who is introduced as someone who awakens to the Force quite dramatically in The Force Awakens. She fights Kylo Ren with minimal formal training, which is a sign of raw talent. She's eventually revealed to be a Palpatine by blood, though she forges her own path by embracing the light. In The Rise of Skywalker, she faces off against a resurrected Emperor Palpatine, channeling the Jedi of the past, and manages to defeat him, but nearly dies in the process. Some point out that she's unbelievably powerful so quickly, which might suggest the Force Dyad connection with Kylo boosted her. While she certainly proves herself worthy of being called a Jedi, she lacks the years of development we see in Luke, Yoda, or other masters. Maybe she'll keep evolving in future stories, but at the end of Episode 9, we don't have enough consistent canonical feats to clearly place her above the greats. Outro, so who wins the title of the most powerful Jedi? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed debating the mightiest Jedi, subscribe for more deep dives across a galaxy far, far away. With each new story and revelation, the Force grows richer, and your input is vital. Join us on this journey. May the Force be with you, always.